Arizonans are voting on two propositions I want to ask you about. The first one would legalize recreational marijuana. As an Arizona voter, would you vote yes or no on that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to vote yes. It has some provisions in there to, decriminalize it and to address some of the incarceration rates for what are, marijuana offenses. I think that's good. I think there's a funding source there. So I'm probably going to vote yes. We've got a split household on that one.
A split household. Is your wife, Gabby Giffords, opposed to it?
I think she's leaning the other way. We're still discussing it.
If it came before you in the Senate, there's one of the issues here is marijuana is still a Schedule I narcotic, a drug. Would you support removing it from that Schedule I listing?
Yeah, based on my vote here in Arizona, I would seriously consider removing it.
Okay. And on the K-12 funding issue, taxing, putting a tax surcharge on high earners to create a new funding source for K-12 education, yes or no?
Well, I think this Prop 208, I think 207 is the other one. 208.
Yes, that's right.
Is, it's unfortunate we're in this situation. And we're 45th in teacher pay and 47th, I think, in per pupil spending. It's the job of the legislature and the governor to educate, to make sure schools, school districts have the resources they need to provide a really good public education. And it's an investment in our future. And I really feel that our legislature over the last decade or so has really failed kids on this. And it's not ideal to do this through a ballot initiative. This should be something that was left for the legislature to get right, but they haven't gotten it right in over a decade.
So despite it not being ideal, are you a yes or a no?
I'm still looking at it, and I'll make a decision before I haven't got my ballot yet, so I'm going to make a decision on that at some point. But I am looking closely at it. But I do really feel that K through 12 education is so important for the future of our state. If we're going to attract high-tech companies, aerospace companies, and defense industry contractors, it's important that we have an educated workforce. So K through 12 education, that's the beginning of it, and then higher education, technical schools, apprenticeships. So I look at an investment in education as one of the best investments we can make here in the state.
What about the opponent's argument that this would actually hurt business investment in Arizona by taxing individuals who own small businesses, but they're taxed on their personal income? How concerned are you about that?
No, I understand that side of the argument, and I hear it. It's pass-through income, so it's not taxing revenue. So it really is similar to taxing somebody's income, similar to whether they had a job. So I'm going to continue to take a look at it, but I really do feel that our legislature has failed kids and parents on the issue of public education and funding of K through 12 schools.
How do you feel about tax increases on high earners? Joe Biden would increase taxes on people earning more than $400,000 a year. Do you support that?
So in 2017, Washington, including Senator McSally, voted for a piece of legislation through budget reconciliation that gave a $1.9 trillion tax giveaway. 80% of that is going to go to the wealthiest Americans and big corporations. And I don't think that was a smart way to manage our budget. We need to look after middle class taxpayers. And I won't raise the taxes on middle class taxpayers. But those tax giveaways that were passed in 2017, that Washington passed, I think it was not a smart investment in our future. We should be looking at investing in research and development, education, infrastructure, and not adding $1.9 trillion to the debt to give the wealthiest in our country and big corporations a big tax giveaway like that.
But would you vote with President Biden, to raise taxes on folks earning more than $400,000 a year?
Well, I'd have to specifically look at the legislation and what is that money going to be used for, and where's it going to go? My priorities are going to be, healthcare, making sure we can protect, individuals who have a pre-existing condition, make sure we get out of the economic, this recession, horrible recession we're in because of failure of leadership on COVID-19. So it would depend on where the investments are, but middle class taxpayers shouldn't have their taxes raised.